fight. 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Arcade Attack. A retro gaming podcast for up to 4 players.
Sonic Boom!
Big Bad Geek!
Welcome to the Arcade Attack podcast. Got a selection of good things on sale, stranger. Oh dear. What is there to say?
Why do you sound Aussie?
I don't know, mate.
Who is this fifth person on the podcast?
Welcome. What is there to say about Resident Evil 4 that hasn't already been said? Not much, but it's a game that's worthy of all the space on the internet that's been dedicated to it. So join me, Keith, as I take a trip back to deepest, darkest Spain, circa 2005, with our resident special agents, Dylan.
Oh, hello.
James.
Hi.
And Adrian.
Leon! Help! Leon!
There he is.
Help! 3 very different approaches there. Leon! Help!
Shut up, Ashley.
Yeah.
All right. So before we dive into the game itself, have we all played it? Have we all played Resident Evil 4?
Yes.
And when did we play it first? When was the first time?
Well, you challenged me, didn't you?
Adrian, I challenge you.
Because on Resident Evil 3 pod, I was a little bit dismissive, a little bit grumpy, in fact.
You were a little bit, yeah.
Yeah,
So why is Adrian so grumpy?
It wasn't really my sort of thing. Even though I played the demo, Resident Evil 2, a lot with you. Do you remember, James? We were just a minute ago off air. I haven't really connected with a Resident Evil game before, but you were like, give 4 a go. You might like 4. I'm like,
Yeah.
Fine. And actually, over the years, I've been picking up Resident Evil games cheap. I've seen them in charity shops. Never really played them, truthfully, that much. And I was going through my big collection. And I was like, I do have a Resident Evil 4. I've got 2 on PlayStation 2.
2?
I got 2 copies of the... Yeah,
Greedy.
I'm greedy. And I also had one on the Wii. And I remember I said, Keith, I've got 2 versions. Which one shall I play?
Did I say the Wii version?
And you said, well, I've never played the Wii version, but I've heard it's got good reviews. So I was like, okay, I'll play the Wii version.
Nice.
That's a true story.
True story. So you played it on the Wii
version somewhere.
You got the Wii
shelves.
version.
So, yeah, I played it last year, I think.
Okay. So that was the first time you played Resident Evil 4, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay. So we'll talk more about the Wii version later on.
Yeah. I played the PS2 version when it came out, like I was going to miss that.
Yeah.
It basically came out, I got it.
That was when I played it the first time. So that was 2005.
Yeah, man.
James?
Yeah, I'm the ugly duckling in the room. Because I haven't played it for a long time. So I also played it on the PS2. And I was a massive fan of 1, 2, and 3.
Yep.
Completed it loads of times. Like, literally couldn't be any more immersed in it. But haven't played 4 for a long time. So this is kind of a revisiting. So this is really good for me because just kind of like fill in the blanks that I kind of knew but have sort of forgotten. And then I'm almost certainly going to probably go out and buy it and play it again.
Good.
Yeah. So I know that's going to happen anyway before you even do the podcast.
Because we're so scathing, it will put you off and think, I hate this game.
Scathing
But no, looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, it's a divisive game among RE fans. As we know, it's the first game that really brought in the action style. 3 went a bit more in the action direction, didn't it, after the first couple, but this is where it kind of went all out action.
Yeah, I think they used the same mechanic in terms of movement and style, but it was a lot more kind of explosion and sort of crashing through walls and that kind of thing. I think 4, as I'm sure you're going
to,
whole new fight mechanic. But
So it is a game that's kind of universally praised, but it's also one that sort of hardcore RE fans get a bit sort of conflicted about because they kind of blame it for where the series went. A lot of people don't like 5, even though I think it may still be Capcom's biggest selling game. Or it was not long after it came out anyway. And 6, which obviously just went crazy, full on Michael Bay action nonsense.
Yeah.
But anyway, so let's
That's
go.
the nicest thing I think anyone said about Resi 6.
That's me. Yeah, that's me being nice and polite. So the original RE4 was developed by Capcom Production Studio 4 and was directed by
I don't know.
Shinji Mikami.
Oh, yeah.
Of course. It was released on the GameCube on January the 11th, 2005. So way back in 1999, Shinji Mikami said that they were developing a sequel for the Resident Evil series for the PS2. And Resident Evil had a dramatic and lengthy development cycle, during which at least 4 versions of the game were discarded. Now, the first one of these, we have talked about it before, because it was directed by Hideki Kamiya. Around the turn of the millennium, they created a scenario for the game based on Kamiya's idea to make a cool and stylish action game.
I know where you're going with this.
And I don't know if you remember, but when we did that certain podcast that we'll mention in a minute, the story was based on the unraveling the mystery surrounding the body of protagonist Tony, an invincible man with skills and an intellect exceeding that of normal people.
That sounds pretty cool.
It does, doesn't it?
He's
Tony.
great.
With his superhuman abilities explained with biotechnology. Kamiya felt the playable character didn't look brave and heroic enough in battles, so he decided to drop the fixed angles and pre-render backgrounds and instead opted for the dynamic camera system. The team spent 11 days in the UK and Spain photographing objects such as Gothic statues, bricks and stone pavements.
I wonder what this could be.
For use in textures. Yes. Though the developers tried to make the coolness theme fit into the Resident Evil world, Mikami felt it strayed too far from the series' survival horror roots and gradually convinced the staff to make an independent game. This became a new Capcom franchise.
Devil May Cry.
Yay! Which was released for the PS2 in August 2001.
Aren't we pleased for that? That's basically...
Of course we are.
Bit of done.
So, even if you don't like RE4...
Why is James giving you his mobile?
He's given me a list of top-selling Capcom games.
Oh, well done.
So
Okay,
there you
nice.
go. Thanks for that, James. So the biggest selling Capcom game of all time is Monster Hunter World. in
Oh, wow. Yeah.
2018. 17.3
Switch.
17.3 million units.
Boom.
The next biggest selling Capcom game is Resident Evil 7 Biohazard with 9.8. Then Resident Evil 2 Remake 8.6. Resident Evil 5 8.2. Resident Evil 6 7.9. So
Wow.
go.
But
So these
Resident Evil pretty much
They pretty
populating
much occupying the top
destroying the top
spots.
10 there.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Resident Evil but in Monster Hunter World? That'd be pretty cool.
the new bestseller.
Could work.
Zombie Hunter World.
Zombie Hunter World. Yeah.
Where you have to train them or whatever the hell you do in Monster Hunter World. I don't even know.
I've never played it. Never played it. Although Mila Jovovich is in the Monster Hunter movie, and she was in the Resident Evil films.
Oh, she just loves Capcom
There
stuff.
you go.
That's thin.
There you go.
But it's a tie-in.
It's a connection. It's a connection. However tenuous. Right, so the next version of Rari 4 is known as the Fog version.
Yep.
So they restarted development at the end of 2001, and the first announcement was made in November 2002, and it was going to be one of 5 games exclusively developed for the GameCube, and this was dubbed the Capcom 5. We'll come back to that in a minute. This version, called the Fog version, was directed by Hiroshi Shibata and was 40% finished. This version of the game saw Leon S. Kennedy struggling to survive after having infiltrated the castle-like Umbrella's main headquarters located in Europe and featured traditional Resident Evil monsters such as zombies. During the course of the new story, which was again written by Sugimura's scenario creation company Flagship, Leon became infected with the progenitor virus and possessed a hidden power in his left hand. The producer of the final version also pointed out that Ashley did not appear back then, although there was a different girl who was never revealed to the public. This game was to feature some first-person elements. Just some. So that was the Fog version. The next version...
That didn't spawn in.
That didn't... No.
That's been away.
I don't know, because there are ties to Haunting Ground. I know some of the assets from some of these versions were used in Haunting Ground later on. So I don't know. No, Haunting Ground is the one with the panic system. And it's got the dog in it from Resident Evil 4 as well, the white dog.
What's the dog
I did talk about Haunting Ground, I think, in the Cocktail podcast.
Yeah.
You did. What's the dog's name?
I can't remember if he got a name. He doesn't have a name in RE4.
question you didn't want to get
Woof.
asked.
We'll call him Woof.
I'm going to call him Catastrophe or something, but yeah, Woof. Woof is fine.
Then he'd be Cat for short, and he's a dog. You can't call him that.
You're so sharp today, man.
Snowy.
Speaking of sharp, the next version was called the Hookman version.
We didn't even practice that.
Okay, so at E3 in 2003, Capcom showcased a version widely known as the Hookman version. It was later titled Madoboshi no Biohazard 4, the Phantom Biohazard 4. This story was set in a haunted building where Leon contracted a bizarre disease and fought paranormal enemies, such as animated suits of armor, living dolls, and a ghost-like man armed with a large hook.
Just swishing at thin air. Have that
Yeah.
ghost.
Hookman, Scissor Man,
Hookman.
don't know.
Can you say Hookman without saying Hookman?
Hookman.
Can't do it.
It's a sequel to
Hookman.
Edward Scissorhands. Edward Hook.
I'm Hookman.
Is that a big fishing hook?
Hookman. So this game was designed to have an otherworldly feel to it, and it contained elements like flashbacks and hallucinations that were marked by a bluish tint and a shaky camera. It also displayed various gameplay mechanics that carried over into the final game, like the over-the-shoulder camera and a laser sight for aiming. So there were elements of this that actually survived. And if you see the footage of it, Leon's got the sort of, that fleecy leather jacket he has in the
he's
game.
coming.
That's in there.
Love that jacket.
Yeah, Adrian loves that jacket.
There were dialogue choices in that version as well, but obviously they didn't make it into the final game, unfortunately.
Can you imagine?
5 minutes of gameplay footage were released on the Biohazard 4 secret DVD, which was a Japanese pre-order bonus given out in January 2005. So that's quite cool. If you did pre-order the final game in Japan, they included the little 5-minute demo of the Hookman version.
Have you seen
So
this?
it's quite-
Or?
So
I've
what
seen
version was
clips of it. Yeah, there's footage of it on YouTube.
It's
It's
good.
quite easy to see the Hookman one. Yeah, it's just very different because obviously they've never really gone down the paranormal route before. It's all zombies and bioweapons.
Yeah.
But this one was more sort of ghosty stuff. But then the suits of armor, there's suits of armor in RE4 as well.
Yeah.
There's no real explanation given for... Actually, no, the parasites do come out of their heads, don't they?
I can't remember.
They do, they
They
do
do.
in part of it. Yeah.
They do.
Anyway, next version, the hallucination version.
It was all a dream. It never really happened.
Yeah, it never really happened.
Wake up
And
at the end.
everybody woke
Raccoon
up.
City never happened. It just never happened.
The hallucination version only had a basic story concept, having dropped the previous scenario. Resident Evil 3 Nemesis scenario writer Yasuhisa Kawamura said he was responsible for this version as he wanted to make Resident Evil 4 scarier, and suggested using a particular scene from the film Lost Souls, I haven't seen it, where the main character suddenly finds herself in a derelict building with a killer on the loose. An arranged version of this idea eventually turned into the Hookman idea. This idea went through several iterations, where Leon infiltrated the Spencer mansion seeking the truth, while inside the laboratory located deep within, a young girl wakes up, accompanied by a bioorganic weapon. A BOW dog, which is a bioorganic weapon. The two start to make their way up the castle. Unfortunately, there were many obstacles that needed to be overcome, and the cost of development was deemed too expensive. After this attempt, the last cancelled revision featured classic zombies again. However, it was discontinued after a few months as the developers felt it was too formulaic. So that was the hallucination version. The story of the progenitor virus was eventually covered in Resident Evil 5, and the Spencer Mansion became the setting for Resident Evil 5's downloadable content, Lost Nightmares.
Okay,
You
I'm
played that?
need to check out Resi 5. No, 'cause
Yeah. The DLC for that, which comes on disc version now, it's called Lost in Nightmares, and
cool.
you play
That sounds
as
like something I would want to
do
play.
you play as Chris or Jill, or only Jill? But basically, Chris and Jill go back to the mansion.
Oh.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Oh,
It's quite-
Resi 5, I didn't really take to Resi 5.
I've got it on PS4. I'll lend you it. It's got
Cheers,
the
mate.
DLC on it.
Done.
But yeah, that's worth playing. Yeah,
Right.
and it ties in with the rest of the story in 5, so that's definitely worth it. Final version, we'll get there in the end. We'll actually start talking about the game. Mikami took over directorial duties and began working on the new version that was eventually released. In an interview with Game Informer, Mikami explained his decision to shift to a new gameplay system, as the old system is more of the same. He played Resident Evil 0, and he says that he only felt nervous once more when playing with the newer over-the-shoulder camera system. Speaking for the team, game producer Hiroyuki Kobayashi mentioned how the staff were tired of the same thing, and some got bored and moved on to other projects. In addition to that, the producer also felt that the older format was stuck in a cookie-cutter mold and described it as shackles holding us down. So they'd really had enough of the old fixed camera games. I
We
think
skipped Code Veronica, haven't we?
we haven't done them in order, though. We haven't
No,
done the first game yet.
yeah.
So we're just playing fast and loose with the RE games, because we've done 2, 3, and now 4.
Yeah.
That's it. So we've got lots to do. Lots of work
Plenty
to
to
do.
do.
Lots
Yeah.
to do. But yeah, Shackle's holding us down. So the developers and producers were clearly fed up with the old style. However much we loved it, I think 3 probably got slightly lower reviews than 2. I think people wanted something. They wanted to see a change, something different, something just to bring it up to date, I guess.
You got to ask yourself, like going through all of that development process, all of those people involved, and then you've got you were saying about people, switching off or going to other departments.
Yeah.
You got to ask the question, like, what might have been, and not limiting that maybe to just Resident Evil. I mean, obviously a massive franchise, but like what might have been, it being a fly on the wall sort of thing, with the development process and kind of understanding like why they walked away, and if they hadn't, what could have happened, what direction could it have gone in. There's just so many like interesting tangents that like not just that series, that opens it up to like any.
Well, it's
any
interesting, like you say, when you hear that they were 40% through it and then they scrapped it.
Mad, isn't it?
It's crazy, isn't it? How many months of work went into it, and then they go, "No, this isn't right."
Yeah, and then 3 or 4 iterations of a game or something. Where I'd imagine at some points you'd have a complete game.
Yeah,
and it's been,
especially it's one thing if you're the director or the producer saying no, but if you've spent the last year of your life working on that version, and then they just say no, we're scrapping it. Yeah,
just in a click of a finger. That's just madness, isn't it?
It's crazy. And incidentally, some staff members disagreed about changing the gameplay system. These members felt depressed and were hard to motivate after the game's focus shifted to be more action-oriented. So just like the fans, the people working on the game were sort of split on it as well. So, Mikami demanded the camera system be revised, and he wrote a new story that, unlike previous installments, was not centered on the Umbrella Corporation. He was inspired by Onimusha 3, Demon Siege. Have you played that one?
I don't think I've played early Onimushas,
This was a game Mikami said he enjoyed playing but felt could have been better with a different viewpoint, which is why they went for the behind the camera.
It's like a tank control kind of thing, I think.
Yeah, because Onimusha controlled just like the early RE games, didn't it, at first? Yeah.
I can't remember 3 exactly. I don't know if they changed it for that. But yeah, the first couple, I'm pretty sure, I love tank controls. I love them.
But they work for certain games. They're not so good for like really action-heavy games where you have to run around and dodge a lot.
Have you ever played a tank game with tank controls?
No.
I don't want to.
Therein lies the rub.
So, as I said earlier, RE4 was announced as a GameCube exclusive as part of the Capcom 5. And do you know about this? Do you know about this? Have you heard about this?
There's one person. Let me find it.
There's one I made earlier.
Yeah, look. From Ian Wilkinson, who also does the Retrospective podcast.
Hello, mate.
Friend of the show. And I think they're doing Dino Crisis next.
He told me about that.
And he said here, I literally bought a GameCube for this game. I still have the cube, and this is the only game I own for it.
That's all you need.
Worth it. And I did
Worth it, mate.
Worth it, shock face.
That is all you need.
Shock
GameCube
face.
and RE4.
Just a shock face.
So, had you heard about the Capcom 5 at the time? No? Okay, cool. That's good. Then this will be informative for you. The Capcom 5 were 5 games that were unveiled by Capcom in late 2002 to be published from March 2003. At a time when Nintendo's GameCube console failed to capture market share, Capcom announced 5 new GameCube titles with the apparent goal of boosting hardware sales and showing off third-party developer support. So basically it was confirmation that they were going to be 5 exclusive Capcom games for the GameCube. The 5 games were PN03, which is a futuristic third-person shooter that I've never played. Beautiful Joe.
Yeah, Beautiful Joe.
Yeah. Which is like a side-scrolling action platformer. Dead Phoenix, which is a shoot-'em-up. I've also never heard of. No. Resident Evil 4.
Yeah. I've heard of that.
You heard that one?
What's that one?
And Killer 7.
Oh, heard of it.
Yeah, I've heard of it as well.
Yeah.
It's an action-adventure game with first-person shooter elements, apparently.
Oh, no.
But although the games themselves were not directly related, they were all overseen by Shinji Mikami.
Ah, nice.
So this became known as the Capcom 5, and it was this big push.
It is weird that Nintendo must pay some big bucks for that contract.
Well, I don't know. For like that exclusivity, especially for a Resident Evil game.
Yeah, because personally, Resident Evil sounds more like a game that should be on the PlayStation. Just
of
slightly
course,
older
of course.
generation.
That's where the series started, wasn't it? First game, PS1.
It'd be interesting to know what kind of retainers and things were paid. And
well, as it panned out, as we'll find out, of the 5 games, Dead Phoenix was cancelled, And the only other one that remained a GameCube exclusive was PN03.
So the Capcom 5 became the big one.
Which was a critical and commercial failure. So
it's probably
it didn't
really
really
expensive.
pan out.
So the Capcom won.
The Capcom won. Free to Capcom won.
Wow.
Yeah. Apparently later on, Capcom USA, after this sort of became a bit of a joke with the Capcom 1, Capcom USA later clarified that only Resident Evil 4 was intended to be exclusive. The initial announcement was due to a miscommunication with their parent company.
Wow.
However,
That old chestnut.
that didn't happen, and in the end, RE4 was ported to pretty much every format.
Thank
can
you very
think of.
much.
It became a cross-platform hit, selling over 10 million copies across all platforms. It's often named one of the best video games ever made, winning multiple Game of the Year awards in 2005. So, along with Resident Evil Dead Aim and Resident Evil Outbreak, which were side story games, it was announced on October the 31st, 2004, that Resident Evil 4 would come to the PlayStation 2 in 2005, citing increased profit, changing market conditions, and increased consumer satisfaction as key reasons. The PlayStation 2 version was to include new features, primarily a new sub-game featuring Aydah Wong. In 2006, Ubisoft announced they would be publishing the game on PC for Windows, and in 2007, a Wii version followed on, which Adrian is holding in his hand.
On the note of the awards, they've got 2 awards: VGX Award for Best Graphics and Game of the Year.
Oh, there you go. So there you go. We'll talk more about the reception in a bit. Can you remember the loose plot of Resident Evil 4, such as it is?
President's daughter gone. Where's she gone?
Yeah. That is as
Ashley.
brief as it gets.
There you go.
President's daughter, where's she gone? Where's she gone?
Yeah.
So it's 2004, and our friend Leon from Resident Evil 2, Leon Scott Kennedy, has gone from being a cop on his first day on the beat to Secret Service agent for the president. So
There's a promotion.
he got a few promotions in the short years since we last saw him.
Man, he must have. Yeah.
He was booking.
Upwardly mobile, our Leon. And he's been sent on a mission to rescue Ashley Graham, who is the US president's daughter. He's been abducted by a mysterious cult. He travels to an unnamed village in rural Spain, where he encounters a group of hostile villagers who pledge their lives to the cult of... You remember what they're called? Who's played it most recently? Yes, James!
Illuminado.
There's a man who's done his research.
Yeah.
Los Illuminados. And that is the plot in a nutshell.
Angry villagers.
Angry villagers. Leon has to go to Spain and rescue the
I didn't know
president's
it was
daughter.
Kill a lot of villagers.
It obviously gets a bit more twisted and contorted as it goes along, but
When
that's
you
the
say it like
basic
that.
premise.
That's to kill villagers.
Kill villagers.
Send to Spain to kill
Just sounds a
villagers.
bit one-sided, doesn't it? But there's more to it.
So, as we mentioned in the development of the game, we've gone from tank controls and fixed camera angles to third-person, over-the-shoulder perspective. Now, I mean, this was the game that basically set the standard for third-person shooters.
Yeah.
Until now. Obviously, lots of things have been added to the formula, but it revolutionised those kind of games. I certainly don't remember playing a game like that before. With that, with
came in the generation after.
with that method of aiming and controlling, and it was
They kind of zooming on him as he aimed. Zoom.
that's it, yeah.
Wow.
And when you
Zoom
use the
in.
rifle, you've got the scope as well.
So good
to
lining
zoom
up
right
the
in.
scope, mate. Oh, so
Very
satisfying.
satisfying. Yes.
Headshot.
Yeah, brilliant.
I never played the PS2 version, so you have to.
Yeah, so
move
you haven't
the
played the
cursor.
normal
No,
vanilla version, have you?
No.
You played the exotic Wii version.
Yeah, you just use the right stick to aim.
So for AIDS benefit, like any other third-person shooter, which I'm sure you must have played some.
Yeah, but I play with a mouse usually, don't I?
Yeah,
difficult,
the
isn't it?
right stick does the mouse.
So left stick move the man,
Yeah.
right stick move the aiming thing. There you go, the aiming
I'm
reticle.
used to my
So now we talk about it a little bit. How does it work with the Wii? Agent,
yeah, so
over to you.
I've been playing the Wii version of the Wii edition.
So how do the controls work?
You got your nunchucky bit to move,
Yeah.
and then you got your zapper thing, and you can shoot the screen with the main Wii remote, and you can use that to reload as well.
Okay.
It's
I got really tired playing that.
oh, it's
Back
so
to the
good though.
PS2
It's
one.
so responsive, and you feel like you're actually shooting zombies. Like it's really well done, though. I have to say. And actually, I played it on the Wii U technically, and I think, and this is where people are going to say, "Oh, Adrian's such an idiot." I've got a feeling the Wii U actually sharpens up original Wii games. I don't know.
Okay.
I've got a feeling. So I'm playing like a proper elite crazy version.
Mate, you are living
Nice.
life.
I know, right?
Because I imagine at the time the Wii version probably didn't look great.
Yeah.
It's blurry. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't export a Wii to HD now. It just looked
Blurry.
blurry. But back in the day, it didn't look that bad. I had it
that's
on
awesome.
like HD ready stuff back in the day. It didn't look.
Yeah, the Wii U
horrific,
sharpens up, I think, and it's just great. I loved it. And yeah, so that's how you control it.
Okay, and what? So you know when you have to like use the knife? Can you use the knife?
Yeah, you have to. I'm just trying to.
How does
picture it
that
now.
work?
You have
So
to
you have to hold a button
hold
down.
down. You have to hold down one of the nunchuck buttons, and then you can stab forward.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah, it's
Oh,
very
and
cool.
so can you like smash open the boxes and barrels and stuff as well with the knife?
still
So-
got to do
You
that.
have to
yeah.
swipe up and down. And
I
actually,
really
don't
need to
know,
play this version.
In
of it.
certain versions, you have to sort of dodge, and you have to cut things. And
Yeah, you have to do
roll
the
out.
Do you have
the
to have a
way.
quick
waggle?
time.
Yeah,
It's all the
waggle.
quick time.
I'm not
things.
being funny. Who needs Wii Fit when you've got
Just play
Resident Evil?
RE4.
Yeah,
Damn.
Play that and Mad World on the Wii, and you're sorted. You're
Yeah.
like, you're,
It's your workout.
but you don't
you
have
look,
that in
you
your.
look like Mo Farah afterwards. You look-
No, it's really cool. Some of the Wii aspects are very good in it, I have to say.
I mean, I've heard it's one of the best games that kind of makes use of the Wii motion controls, apart from your Wii Sports and stuff. It's one of the best uses
Naturally.
of. Yeah,
It was really well done, I have to say. I was very impressed by that.
I've got to play it.
Sounds pretty interesting, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only version I know about.
So we'll go back to the game. Thank you for that, Aid. That was very informative and enlightening, and I will be stealing your copy of Resident Evil on the Wii.
That'll be gone.
Wii plays it at the moment.
So it was a big departure from the series roots, with the gameplay focusing more on action and shootouts with fewer survival horror elements. As we've said, the camera's placed behind Leon. You zoom in for an over-the-shoulder view when aiming a weapon, or first-person view when using a sniper rifle. There's no crosshair for your guns. Instead, you have a laser sight, which is very cool.
It's a circle, isn't it?
On the Wii version, is it a circle?
Yeah.
Because on the other console version,
Yeah, so we
it's
just got a
red
laser sight. Yeah.
red dot laser sight.
No. The Wii's got like a cross circle.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just got like a
It's
round.
like a
crosshair.
crosshair.
Yeah.
There you
What
go.
are you guys talking about? This is
Controversial.
What is this?
I know both. Yes.
Can of worms alert. Can of worms alert.
But it's like to actually move around the laser thing in the PS2 is really satisfying.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So
okay.
it's a proper red dot laser sight.
That sounds cool, to be fair.
It is cool. And again, unlike previous games where, do you remember, you could only you could aim up, or you could sort of shoot straight ahead or shoot down. It was very. So you waited until they got close and then pointed at the ceiling.
Somehow blew their head off, even though you're shooting at the light.
That was a bit odd.
Yeah. So now you've got a lot more options. So you can shoot the Ganados in the feet, and cause them to stumble. You can shoot them in the arms to make them drop their weapons. And then you could shoot like when they throw axes at you, or the most satisfying if they've got.
And they throw the axe in midair.
Yeah.
You can shoot it out of the way.
Yes, you can.
So cool.
Or when they're lighting the dynamite in their
That's
hands,
best.
and then you shoot it and blow them up. That's always fun.
Yeah.
But so you've got all that now, that kind of precision that we didn't have in games before, where it's like just shoot the guy, aim at the guy, and shoot the guy. Now it was aim at the guy's foot.
Quite similar
Aim
to
at his
a
arm.
PC FPS game called Kingpin.
Yeah.
Which you could literally, and they're making a remake of it, by the way. It's an interesting game. And it was famous because you could shoot different body parts off. A little bit like that. And if you shot the legs, they stumbled. They probably stole it a little bit from there, I reckon. But still very cool.
Yeah. So they also added context-sensitive controls. So based on the situation, you can interact with some parts of the environment. So you can kick down a ladder, jump through a window.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So actiony. That's nice action.
What about the finishing moves?
Yeah, finishing.
Oh,
moves,
yeah.
The
like-
roundhouse kick
Roundhouse
or the
kick.
suplex.
Yeah.
I love that. You do a German, like you stun them with a couple of shots and then go in and do a German suplex and the head explodes on the ground. So
But
satisfying.
you still have to find a key for the old crusty wooden door that looks like a stiff breeze will blow it over there, don't you?
Yeah, you can't kick that open.
No.
You can't roundhouse kick
No.
that. You can't roundhouse kick all your problems away, James.
Well, you can, as it turns
I've
out.
got a question, though. If
Yeah.
you're a villager in Spain, why would you...
Roundhouse kick your mortgage. Sorry.
No, but why would you keep a really expensive necklace hanging from
Dangling
like a
over
dung heap? And if I shot it by mistake and it went in the dung heap, you're supposed to shoot the thing
You
down.
shoot the thing down. Well, you can still get it out of the...
No, it said it's too disgusting. So I'm not put my hand in there.
No, you can still.
So the one, I don't know about the dung heap, but there is one where it falls into a well.
Well,
But you get it out of the well, but it's dirty. So it's
Oh.
worthless when you sell it to the merchant. But if you're clever
right.
enough to shoot the plank down or whatever, the piece of wood, then shoot it down.
Then puzzles are hard for my brain to cope with.
Yeah, so you've got the context-sensitive stuff, the finishing moves, which are pretty cool on enemies that you've stunned, and there's also quick-time events.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Yeah,
in
which
PS2,
they're a big part of RE4, and sort of after Shenmue, which sort of introduced QTEs to the wider gaming public, RE4 was like the next massive game, I think, that really made use of them. So you've got the bit where you have to run from the boulder, like Indiana Jones style. And I never really understood why they made Leon run so... Like, it looks really weird. You start tapping the button, and then suddenly he's running unnaturally fast, and it all looks a bit odd, a bit comical.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to kind of wrestle an enemy to stay alive. But it's just basically hammering the buttons. There's a cool knife fight later on.
It's cool. You have to run like a big ogre's back, and then...
Yes, that's right. Yeah, when you're fighting El Gigante. Yeah. You have to run up on the back and stab.
Legolas style.
Yeah, like Legolas.
Or when you get dragged into the lake.
Yes.
You have to tap it to swim back to the boat if you get knocked off.
Oh, mate, that bit
What the big
makes me...
crocodile?
It's a giant, I think it's a giant salamander.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Mate,
Yeah.
So let's be honest.
That
you
is
had-
one of my favourite bits in
That's
the game.
great.
We'll talk about like the highlights and stuff, because
we had to
there's
go
just
full
so
on
many
track and
memorable
field.
moments. So yeah, QTEs, again, talking about the stuff that RE4 implemented that have become standard in games. You still see those today. And they, yeah, like Aydah said, they were incorporated into some of the boss fights. So like you said, when you're fighting the giant troll things, you have to do that in order to finish them off. The inventory system. Inventory system?
Inventory system. Yeah.
I struggle with this word for some reason. Inventory. But then it sounds like infantry. Infantry. Anyway.
Have you got an inventory for my infantry?
An infantry.
I love it.
Infantry.
Let's just put it over there. I love
Yes.
it. Like a chinky.
The inventory system is like a grid system represented by
You can
Leon's
spin around.
attaché case.
Yeah.
Each item takes up a certain number of spaces. So before we used to have, was it in the original Resident Evil? I think Chris had 6 slots.
Yeah.
And Jill had 8
Yeah.
for carrying stuff.
And like something big like the submachine gun had like 2.
Yeah,
took
it
up
might
2
take up 2 spaces.
Yeah.
But now you've got your big case, and you have to think about what you're going to put where. And you can upgrade the case, I think, 3 times.
Yeah, you can make it
to make it
bigger,
really
yeah.
big. Your weapons, ammunition, healing items, all kept in there. It doesn't make you keep key items in there. So whereas before, if you found the seal that had to go, it had to go in your sort of 8 slots or your 6 slots, which is always a pain. Yeah, do I take this now? Do I leave it here now? Do I go and get the crank handle or the plant fertilizer? Yeah.
Well, you could say that added another element of strategy in those.
It did.
games.
Well, that was key survival horror.
Key
and I
survival
think
horror.
for 4, that would have slowed down the pacing.
Yeah, definitely.
If you suddenly had to run
That
back
was a
to
good
the
decision. Whoever made that.
if you got to the castle and then you had to run back to the village bit to go and get this, and it wouldn't really have worked. But I love that case. I love that case.
It's like, hold on, sir.
Yeah,
I need
stop.
to open my case to
Hold
find
on.
what I need
Yeah.
to do.
Order
and I will
zombies.
find. Yeah.
Someone's throwing an axe at me, but stop!
Yeah.
I need to get my case out.
I have no idea where he's keeping it. There's no, he's not wearing it on his back. He stops getting his, but it was just so satisfying. I mean, I'm OCD at the best of times, but keeping it all nice and tidy. So you have I used to have my weapons on the left.
I didn't do that.
You didn't do any of
Oh,
this.
pickledy.
I was just like, yeah,
I bet if I look in Ayda's attaché case, I'd be like, no.
God damn it, he had a grenade next to the first aid spray. What
What
is
are you
this?
doing?
This shoved there, that can go
But it was
there.
the grenades with different colours as well. So you've got all the red, you've got all the incendiary grenades next to each other, and then you have the blue, the stupid. Actually, I don't pick them up.
The flash one.
The flash
Oh, yeah,
grenades,
they're
they're so rubbish. The flash grenades, and then the green, the normal hand grenades, and then you have your healing items next to each other, and then your ammo, and then you have to have it the right way.
What's next? Alphabetical order.
Yeah, but it was like there isn't a lot of puzzles in RE4. They kind of stepped away from that as well. But it was almost like a little puzzle in itself.
Mm-hmm.
I love organising stuff.
You have it like a separate game. Called
Yeah,
Resident Evil 2
Leon's
Attaché Case Organizer.
yeah. Leon's
I'm going to
case
turn it into an app
organizer.
for you. There you go.
It sort of ticked a certain box for me anyway. So the items that you get in there, you find most of it in the environment, like you normally do, your herbs, ammo. But you can also go and visit the merchant.
You pick
and
up a lot
you
of
can-
money, don't you?
The merchant, yeah, we'll talk about him again in a minute. But yeah, so you pick
the
up.
Aussie backpacker that's
The
got
Aussie
lost
backpacker.
in Europe. And he's like, he needs to sell like It's like ammunition to get around. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
He's brilliant.
But yeah, as Aid said, so whenever you kill anything, pretty much, even crows, if you shoot crows, they drop pesetas. And I always found this very charming as well, that they use the correct currency. So every time you shoot a villager, they drop like a nice little box of pesetas.
As you would.
As they do.
Carry them around in a box, don't you, in Spain?
Yeah. They carry their box of pesetas.
So good.
So that's pretty awesome. And there's also sort of treasures and things that you can find as well.
They
As you
sound
go
quite
along.
well hidden, aren't they, to be fair?
Yes, and there's somewhere you might find like a crown, but then if you look at the description of it, it'll say that it has a space on it for like 3 gems.
Yeah, you got to and then you can combine.
So you can sell it.
do
You
that.
can sell it, but then if you sell it with the 3 gems in, you'll go, I'll buy it at a high price.
Just like putting your hand in a pile of poo and getting that necklace out, eh?
Hello, stranger. It's so cool. Who is this guy? Has he got a name?
He's the merchant.
I want to know more about this.
He's the merchant. We're going to talk about more about the characters in a minute. But one thing I wanted to talk about with this game is how well balanced it is. Like, it's not easy, but I never found it to be. I never got stuck on a bit and thought, I'm done with this. I'm going to walk away from it, which I do quite often with video games. But it's fair. It feels like a fair game. Yeah. And one of the interesting things about Resident Evil 4 that not everybody knows, you guys might know, you may have picked it up. It's common knowledge these days, but I certainly didn't know at the time, is that it has adaptive difficulty.
No.
Yes. You didn't know this?
No. So if you kept dying at one point.
So no. It's way more subtle than that. So basically, when you play Resident Evil 4, there aren't difficulty settings.
You just play it.
You just play it. But throughout the game, based on your performance as a player, it will change the behaviour of the enemies. It will change what you receive in terms of ammo and healing items.
That's clever. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So the
I was like wondering why I'm so
better
great
you
at
are,
this
the
game.
better you are at it, the more difficult it will make it. And I've seen, because I'm not that good, I've seen footage of how hard it gets. So like, sort of even early on when the Granados are in the village, and they sort of the way they do it. I've got to come back to this because I haven't mentioned it.
Okay.
When you're shooting, you can't move.
Yeah.
You can't move.
You can't move, just like the original games. Yes. So, and it rather than, because the thing that could have happened with this is you could have had like enemies charging in from every angle, and you'd have no real hope of surviving because you can't move, you can't shoot on the fly. So the way they do it is they have them kind of coming towards you slowly, and then they'll kind of run a bit, won't they? And then but they come in groups as well.
Yeah,
so it's like your classic zombie film in that
They
way,
can
where
really
they don't stop.
get
They're
on
not
you.
coming very quickly, but they're all getting closer.
Yeah.
So you better hurry up and take them out. Yeah. But I've seen footage of people playing it who are better at it. So the adaptive difficulties made it harder. They dodge your bullets. So you'll go and you shoot and they're to the side and then and all the time they're getting closer.
Zombie Matrix.
Needless to say, I've never seen that.
No,
when
exactly.
I've been playing.
Neither had I.
Well,
Neither had I.
So Keith, if you load up the game,
Still time.
Yeah.
and for the first 5 minutes, just shot your gun on the floor. For about 10 minutes, they think, "Oh, this guy's really bad."
Well, I don't know if it works like that, but possibly.
And
Yeah.
then
But as the game
rest of
goes on, if your accuracy is poor, because at the end of each chapter it tells you like how
accuracy percentage,
accuracy
yeah,
and
mine's
how
not
many.
very good.
Yeah, and so you'll get more ammo. I don't know if it's less enemies, but the way they behave will make it slightly easier for you. They might go down in less hits, but it's really complex and it's all going on in the background, and you wouldn't know about it.
There's me and Deal thinking we're the best at this game.
You're the
Oh, no.
dons. Yeah,
Breezed it.
yeah. But
I wasn't even looking at the screen. Look how
But now we play games, and we talked about it before, where we pick baby mode because we all suck.
It was like
Oh, you
Auto
went-
Baby.
It was like, yeah, but also if you were good at it, it made it more difficult. Auto hard.
Auto human adult.
Yeah, yes. Auto grown up. But yeah, which is kind of amazing, really. I'd never heard of this happening in a game before.
if you switched for different levels, like noob player, then expert player, would it pick it up
During the game, yeah.
Oh, and then back to noob player. Like, this,
Yeah, so so the game would be seeing it as you were rubbish, then you got better, and then you got rubbish again. So I guess as you got later in the game, things would get slightly easier again.
The game's
because
getting
you're struggling.
It probably
Yeah.
takes a sample of of a section of gameplay, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't know over what period, but yeah.
And then it must do it over a significant period because it can't just be the last 5 shots.
No, everyone has a bad.
Yeah, because
few shots,
you'll have
yeah.
one where you get 3 running towards
Yeah,
you and you miss
of course.
every
Yeah.
shot.
Speak for yourself, mate. 100%. Like,
Mr. I'll shoot the ground for 10 minutes. Yeah.
But how cool is that? I love
That is-
I love
that is exceptional.
You normally pick the
clever.
difficulty and that's it, and it's so well balanced because I don't think I'm that good, but I played through this game several times. Some bits are tough, some bits are easier, but it never feels like it's too hard or too easy. And that's a perfectly balanced game.
I think, and I could be wrong here, but I think that was a particular selling point of at least a couple of the games in the Fallout series. They were quite they advertised quite heavily the sort of the adaptive sort of leveling up, as it were. So you would never kind of face anything. Whatever you faced would be relevant to your level. And although I don't think it's exactly the same thing, because that sounds a bit more fluid. And that was after 4, so Resident Evil 4. So that may well have given them sort of the flavours of all the different games to make that kind of stepping up in terms of difficulty.
Yeah.
Instead of just setting it, I'll do it on normal.
Yeah.
I'll do it on easy. It's not the same flavour all the way through, is it?
No, that's right. I think it's
Really
it's
clever.
another element that RE4 is like a landmark in gaming, because I think that has become
Especially for that time as well.
Yeah, that has become the norm now, I think. Instead of, but a bit like with the aiming and being able to shoot people's legs and arms instead of just up, high, middle, low, instead of easy, normal, hard, it just did it on the fly. I mean, I don't know how it works, but it works, and it's just super clever. The setting of the game. How good, I mean, this is a fairly biased description of the game. I know there are people out there that might have different opinions, but generally people love it. But it does everything so well. It keeps everything interesting.
Yeah.
So you're
never bored. It's never dull. I remember after I played it the first time. This was before social media.
Yeah.
I think I texted all you guys saying it was a work of art. I literally
I think I remember
this
that.
This game is a freaking work of art.
Yeah. They're so you start off, you drive in, so set the scene. So you're driving in, I love this at the beginning, you're driving into the village with the 2 cops. One of them stops to take a piss, which is kind of random. You go into the village and you see, you go into one of the villagers' houses, and this is have you seen the president's daughter? And then he comes at you and you have to take him out. And that's when you jump out the window and suddenly they're all attacking you.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's perfect, mate.
And then you go into the village and then you see one of the coppers, he's burnt at the stake.
Yes.
It's so creepy. And
It's
I love
so creepy.
Does the dog jump quite early? There's a dog, isn't there?
He doesn't jump out at the beginning. He's trapped in a bear trap.
You can rescue
He's trapped
the
in a
dog.
bear trap.
You've got to rescue him
you
because...
don't
have to.
You
But
don't
you gotta.
have to, but if you don't, he doesn't come and help you later on.
But he helps you. Oh, see, is that true? Has anyone actually?
That's
not
true.
rescued?
If you don't,
I've never
if you
left
leave
him
him there,
You're thinking about it.
I've never left
And who doesn't
I've-
want a dog when you've got zombies around?
I've
Well,
never
so
left
zombies,
him there.
effectively.
I think if anyone listening has left him there, you're a bad person. But no, if you leave him there, he doesn't then come and help you later on,
Oh, I like that dog.
which is cool. So he shows up again for a boss fight later on, and he
Handy.
helps distract one of the enemies.
Is he Woof Mark 2?
Woof. And so you've got the village set, and then the villagers all attack you, and it all goes crazy, and then the bell tolls,
Oh no, the bell.
and then they all turn.
Boom, the bell tolls.
They all turn and wander off, and then Leon says, "What does Leon say? Can you remember what he says? He says, "Where's everybody gone? Bingo."
I love his sense of humour. Can you imagine?
He's got some terrible one-liners. So you've got the village, and then later on you've got the castle. That castle, they've got
Epic.
It is epic.
Amazing.
As you approach it, you've got the whole thing with the catapults, with the fireballs.
Yes, the little maze and stuff.
That's before you even get in. No, the maze is inside the castle. See, but you remember it. And the castle itself is so grand, and there's the crazy underground lava room.
Yeah.
Remember the lava room?
Well, every reputable castle has a lava room.
And to get to the lava room, you have to go on this giant cog wheel thing that just takes you
It's that
across.
big robot thingy.
And then there's giant robot Salazar that
That's
chases
the one.
after you.
Robot Salazar's after you.
Yeah,
All the bad guys.
all the bad guys. There's
Salazar.
then there's the
mate.
caves, and then you have the minecart chase.
Yeah,
Man.
minecart chase.
The minecart
Then when they're,
chase.
jumping on the back of the minecart.
That's it.
It's a big game, isn't it?
It's a big
Super.
game. There's the bit where Ashley drives the massive truck, and they're all
Yes.
trying to jump on the back, and you have to defend the truck.
And you can control. You can talk about this. You can control. Actually, can't you? You can control it.
You do control Ashley for part of the game. Yeah, we'll come to that. There's this, and then later on, you've got like a desert fort section. Do you remember that?
Yes,
Where
that's
fight
when you fight the
Krauser?
army dudes.
Yes.
G.I. Joe dudes.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
There's the military complex towards the end.
It's huge.
There's the labs.
yeah.
So that's and part of a lot of that takes place on a separate island. You get on a speedboat with Aydah and go across to the island. It's always interesting You're never in.
It is
You're in the
always
castle for quite a long time, but because it's also varied.
I assume that'd be the end of the game.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to about finish the game now.
There's so many memorable sections. So there's the bit in the castle where you have the room with the blind enemy with the massive like Wolverine claws, and you have to ring the bell to distract him because he can hear your movements. And if he gets you in a corner, it just decapitate you. And in that same bit of the castle, there's the giant. I don't know if you guys remember this. There's the giant room with the massive pools of water, and you get surrounded by the monks. And then you have to,
that bit,
and that's quite a really a tough section. And you have, and Ashley has to go up and turn some cranks.
Oh, you got to turn the cranks.
And you have, but she has to. So you have to stand there and basically pick off. The
I
monks
love
as
that.
they come and
coming
take her
at you,
away.
you can just like headshot.
Yeah, and that's when she's going, Leon, help, as she does quite often.
She's a bit annoying after a while.
She is a bit annoying, Ashley. So. Yeah, and the dog, who is the dog in Haunting Ground, which we talked about on the Clock Tower. Dog astrophy.
Yeah, you have to check. Maybe change
Makes
it.
less sense now, but okay. Which I just thought was a lovely touch. So yeah, like he said, he comes back when you fight El Gigante, and he comes. He doesn't try and bite him, does he? It just distracts him.
Yeah, I think
he
just
doesn't bite.
Does he bite him? Does he bite it in the leg?
Wriggle him off
And he distracts him long enough for you to jump on his back and stab. So cool. But that wouldn't happen if you didn't save him at the beginning. And also, if you don't, he wouldn't necessarily. You have to sort of notice the dog because it's off to the side of the path. It's not like right in your way. So as you're walking down into the village, if you're kind of distracted by the path going down, you might not even see him. But if you go over there,
they should have like a spin-off version of the game where you're the dog and you have to get from this point to this point. And unless Leon lets you out, you're kind of stuck there for the whole game.
I like
Resident Canine.
I like that.
I'll turn that into an apple.
So let's talk a little bit about the characters.
The merchant's our
The
favourite.
merchant. He's top of my list, actually.
He's brilliant.
He's become like a cult internet
That laugh he
sensation.
does.
Can we call him Bruce?
You can call him Bruce if you want. It is a weird kind of Cockney Australian accent, isn't it? I'm not quite sure what it's supposed to be.
If he's a pirate and he's going from place to place,
pirate
would have
merchant. Why is he in Spain?
Like
Expat, I suppose. In Spain.
And like he needs to get around. He's trying to get to the next continent or whatever. So he's like gets all his ammo and stuff, picks it all up.
He does.
He's like all these pesetas and
So do you remember when you meet him?
No.
When you
in a
first
hut or something.
No, when you first meet him, do you remember when Leon gets tied up with Luis?
Yeah.
Who I haven't put in my list actually, with Luis. And then they they break free, and then you see him in the window, and he kind of like beckons you round so you come out there, and you go round the corner,
back of the,
and that's when he's like, yeah, I've got
what are you boy?
guns for you.
What are you buying?
What are you buying? What are you selling?
Dylan, you know who it is, apparently, is that right? You've got a theory.
What?
I thought he was an Aussie backpacker, so basically just trying to get around.
Oh, I thought you
Adrian thought you had a serious,
like a Resident Evil character or something, like a person.
He was getting ready for a big reveal.
Aussie
here, and
backpacker
That was
man.
Oh, he's
right.
just a guy trying to get around.
Oh.
You know, like sometimes when you go backpacking, you need a job.
Yeah.
Well, he just got a lot more things to sell than we have.
I
love live ammunition and
Live ammo, yeah.
He's very mysterious. I mean, he appears with his little blue flames next to him.
Yeah.
And he likes his typewriters.
He does usually have a typewriter quite near as well
That's
for you
good,
to
'cause
save your game.
You see it, that's you. Like,
Yeah,
Ooh,
they
can I save
kept
the
the typewriter. They ditched the ribbon in this one, and you can save at any time. But yeah, he's kind of odd. He's got, if you notice, he's got red eyes. So I don't know whether he's supposed to be like one of the infected villagers. I don't know. But he's very friendly. He's very friendly. He's very friendly, and he's quite happy to buy stuff at a high price and give Leon bargains. So I don't know. You can actually kill them as well.
enough cash.
Did you know that? You can shoot him.
No, you can't.
You can shoot him.
You would never do that.
I wouldn't. You can.
You can't?
actually kidding me?
Wait, if
How
you
many
shoot him,
times
will
I've
he come
played
back
that
later
game?
in the game?
If you shoot him, he won't reappear at that point. So if you kill him there, if you need to go back to that point for whatever reason, he won't be there. But he reappears. He still appears everywhere else. So maybe it's not just one.
It's a team.
Maybe it's a
It's a team.
whole
maybe
army
that's got
of
something to do with the red
backpackers.
eyes.
That makes sense.
Not enough cash.
Not enough cash, mate. But yeah, he's his cheeky Cockney Aussie
He's annoying
accent.
though, because he doesn't sell ammo, does he? That's the annoying thing.
No, he doesn't sell ammo, and he sells out of stuff really quickly. Like if you need first aid spray, which I often do. Once you bought, he doesn't restock either. No, he's like,
I like him.
I
but
can't
he's
get
not
my
like it.
deliveries. The lorry drivers are all out of work.
Suez Canal blocks again.
Yeah, Brexit. What am I supposed to do? So I've got no more ammo. Yeah.
Damn lorry drivers can't bring me my first aid spray.
So you can buy lots of weapon upgrades and lots of different weapons, but no ammo for the weapons, which is a bit irritating.
I couldn't upgrade my weapons when I was Aydah, though, when I was in separate ways. I could buy new weapons.
No upgrades.
But I couldn't upgrade it.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Not enough upgrades.
Not enough upgrades for
You're a
you.
woman. We can't upgrade your gun. You can barely handle it already.
That's what we put it now. He's not sexist. We like him, don't we?
We do like
Good
him.
lad.
We do. We love the merchant.
He's a good lad and or good lads.
Lad or lads. Yeah. Okay. We like the
Boogeyman
merchant.
or Boogeyman.
And or boogeyman.
Could you imagine
Boogie Bruce's.
Resident Evil, like business edition? You have to sort of control this guy.
Control the merchants.
Yeah.
Buy low, sell high.
So that's-
Yeah.
Theme resident.
So that's 3 apps I'm making. All right.
Yes. Leon Scott Kennedy, our hero.
See, I never thought that S stood for Scott.
Oh, what do you think it stood for?
Well, because the way he like bounces around, he's got like his nice hair, like the ladies all kind of smooth. I thought it was smooth.
Leon
That's his
Smooth
nickname.
Kennedy.
What, like LL Cool J?
Yeah.
Like ladies
exactly.
love Cool James.
Ladies love Cool Leon.
Smooth Leon.
Smooth Leon.
Do we like Leon? I mean, if you remember Resident Evil 2, he was like first day on the job. He just wanted, and he just wanted to help people. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
He was the good guy. He just wanted to do right. And now he's kind of
sassy.
Yeah, he's sassy. He's like
sure of himself.
Badass action guy.
He's a little cheesy, I thought.
He is cheesy.
Yeah.
Bit Hollywood.
He's got some terrible. I don't know if this is just.
He's trying to be like old school Bond.
I don't know if this is just Japanese writers writing English dialogue, but some of the lines he has are poor. Like when
I like all of them.
when Salazar calls him does he call him his brother? And he's like, "No thanks, bro." Or the bit where he talks about his right hand coming off, and he says, "I will send my right hand after you," and he's obviously referring to his like henchman, and he goes, "Your right hand comes off."
Yeah.
It's just like tumbleweed.
Lost in translation. To be fair,
Yeah.
his jokes would fit quite well in our podcast.
That's true.
Yeah.
I feel like he would be a good member of the team.
Leon.
We'd want the merchant, but on paper we'll
Not
get Leon.
Salazar.
And whenever Adrian was in trouble, he could go, "Leon, help!"
And then when Adrian dies, he'll go, Leon!
Leon! Okay, we like Leon. That's like. Do we like Ashley? How do you feel about Ashley?
I hated her at the start. I thought she was so annoying, but I grew to love her.
Did you?
And
Really?
yeah, because
No, she was annoying to the
She's
end.
annoying.
But you
She's
know
so
what?
annoying.
But she does do a lot of growing up. She does do a lot of growing up during RE4. Yeah. I mean, she didn't know how to crank a crank before, but she sure as
Now
hell
she
will
knows
do
how
one
to
now.
crank that
and
crank.
she's good at getting through little tunnels.
She's
and
good
stuff.
at crawling.
Crawling,
Yeah.
Because Leon won't crawl.
And hiding in dumpsters
Yes.
when she's told to.
Go and hide
She's
in a
very
dumpster.
obedient like a dog.
Yes. Does she always do what she's told to?
She does, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
She realises when there are things trying to eat her that she should go and hide in a
That's
dumpster.
That's more common sense than a lot of video game characters,
Well,
let's be honest.
especially a lot of because one criticism people have of it is that it's like one big escort mission once you find her, and you find her quite early on. But in terms of escorts in video, she's pretty good. Like she doesn't really get in the way. So if you try and point your gun at her, she ducks.
You can
When
shoot
you're
her, can't
shooting
you?
at, I think you can if you try hard enough.
I don't do it on purpose.
When you're being attacked and she's behind you, she sort of sticks herself on Leon's back, so there's no way that they can get to her or they can shoot her by accident. And also, there's a command where you can command her like a dog, basically, and you can go wait, and then go follow. So you can
I
make
love
her
that
wait.
wait and follow
Yeah,
thing.
you
So
just
good.
wait and she'll stop, and then you go around the corner and kill some bad guys, and then go follow. And it's
It'll be cool as
it's
well.
a bit like she's an animal or something, but it works. And obviously, when you go into an area, there are certain bits where there are dumpsters nearby, and you can make
Does
her
she ever
hide in a
get?
dumpster.
Does she ever get a weapon? I can't remember now. If she,
No.
There's quite a big bit where you have to get certain bits of treasure.
So we'll talk about that quickly. There is one brief section in the castle where you actually take control of Ashley when she gets separated from Leon. And most of it is just avoiding enemies because she's defenseless. But you can throw, it's lamp. They're lamps, aren't they? Like oil lamps.
right, yes,
and
you
you can
can.
throw them at the cultists and they catch fire.
Yeah, that's
so
what
she
I'm
can
thinking
defend
now,
herself. And that is a section with the ghostly suits of armor as well. You have to go and do one of those, sliding tile puzzles.
Oh, that was annoying.
Yes, it was. It's like the hardest puzzle in the game.
It
and
was
it's not-
hard.
It's hard if, like me, you messed up straight
I
away.
used YouTube to do that. I used YouTube.
Did you?
Don't say that. You say you worked it out.
We never use walkthroughs. I watched
No.
them.
The game was like, this guy's terrible. Just get rid of half the tiles.
Yeah, so that section's quite good because you go from being Leon, who's obviously badass with his suplexes and his shotguns and his rocket launchers, to Ashley, who's completely defenseless. So that's quite good. And yeah, she's kind of annoying. I mean, she's supposed to be like 19 years old or something, but she seems to act more like a 15-year-old. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. A really annoying teen.
The annoying American teen from the early 2000s. There's also see, I don't know why I left him out. So you meet Luis, who is a local. He says he's an ex-cop, but it turns out he's sort of working with Los Iluminados on the Las Plagas parasite. But then it turns out he's trying to sort of sneak out the sample and do good. But he is a bit of a perv, because a little bit of a perv on Ashley when they meet.
Yeah, that's a little bit weird.
And he refers to her ballistics.
Yeah, you don't, mate. Just don't do it.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
I didn't warm to him. Not like the merchant.
Well, that's the thing, because you see him a couple of times and then he gets killed.
Yeah, I didn't.
Spoiler alert.
I didn't shed many tears.
Spoiler alert. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, damn it.
Spoiler alert on this
How
really
could
old
you?
game. Sorry.
And if anyone hurts the merchant, then there'll be trouble.
Exactly. See, we care more about him. Yeah, I've just realised as well that I hadn't mentioned Las Plagas. So bad key.
Yeah.
So these aren't zombies. These aren't possessed people. They're being controlled by a parasite called the Las Plagas parasite, which has been injected into them and enables them all to be controlled. So that's what that is. So yeah, Leon's a bit hammy. Ashley's a bit annoying, but we still like them. One really cool thing about RE4 is the variety. I talked about the variety of the settings as well, but the variety of enemies. Yeah. So again, you go through the different areas. So he starts off with the Ganados, the villagers, and even them, they're so creepy. When they come at you, and they're all shouting at you in Spanish as well.
Right. See, I didn't know it was in Spain. I thought it was like some even further eastern country.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So they come at you and they're shouting.
So if you can speak Spanish, you understand what the hell they're saying?
Yeah. I've apparently, like, they're like outsider, and then they come and there's lots of just like die. Okay. But no, it's
I kind of get the gist of it.
Yeah, I think.
I thought they were saying, "Hello, welcome to the village."
They're just trying to be
Would
nice.
you like a
They're
cup of tea?
They're just trying to get you in for some
I think
sangria.
I heard somewhere it's like Mexican Spanish, so it's
It was really
slightly
cool.
inaccurate because they're supposed to be in Spain.
Oh, yeah.
But yes, that is another great aspect of the game is you always know when you're in trouble through the audio. So obviously there's music for like the combat scenes, but also you can hear all of the enemies. So you hear the Ganados talking, you hear them mumbling to themselves, or if they see you, that's when they kind of go rah, and shout whatever they shout. Yeah,
Insert Spanish word for outsider.
yeah, whatever that is. I can't remember. I'm not going to pretend to know. Or Dr. Salvador. Now, I don't think he's officially given this name in the game, but this is the chainsaw guy with the sack over his head, who can like instantly decapitate Leon. Yeah. But again, you hear the chainsaw fire up.
So cool.
And you think, you
know he's coming.
Even if you can't see him.
And he runs at you, to be fair, doesn't
He does come at you quickly, yeah, and he takes a lot of hits to go down. And you can knock him down, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's dead. No. So, yeah, he's one of the hardest enemies you deal with early on.
But you can't pick up his chainsaw, can you?
No, that's a shame. That would be cool.
No, he doesn't drop it. He does.
That'd be game over then, though, wouldn't it?
Though.
Yeah. But I mean,
actually, when you shoot an enemy, I always found when they were down, you could keep shooting them, but it didn't seem to do that much damage. It's almost worth them coming back up again and shooting the head again.
Oh, yeah, it's not until they start moving again, I think.
Yeah.
Shooting them. But I used to do especially the first time you play it when you haven't got like the unlimited ammo, so you go up and you stun them and then go with the knife and go swipe.
I hardly used my knife. I was like,
really?
Just shoot. Get away.
I suppose with the Wii thing, I bet that it's just the temptation is just.
Yeah, he's dead.
Yeah. But he's quite a cool enemy. Then you've got Salazar, who's like the little Napoleon guy.
He was cool.
Rumpelstiltskin.
Yeah, he's so weird looking as well. He looks like he's got that weird aging disease, doesn't he? He looks like a child.
Yeah.
But with like the old...
so nice.
Curious case of Benjamin Salazar.
Yeah.
He's a good bad guy.
He's super cheesy.
I actually, my fantasy football team that year, I actually named it Damn You Salazar. Hardly anyone knew I was talking about
that as well. Damn You Salazar.
I thought my fantasy was even obscure.
There you go.
Spiderico FC.
I used to...
Spiderico.
Spiderico's legend.
It's a bit obscure.
Lord Sadler, who's like the main bad guy in the Purple Rules.
Oh,
And
yeah,
he
man.
controls the Los villagers and the Ganados, and so he's like the head of Los Illuminados.
It's creepy.
And he's the one behind the evil plan to send Las Plagas to America so they can take over the world.
Because that's what people want to do, generally.
Yeah.
It's the president's daughter, isn't
Hence
it?
the
That's why.
president's daughter, yeah. I mean, he's okay. I mean, he's quite hammy as well. Very cheesy, chews up the scenery a bit. Eventually, when Leon gets infected, spoiler alert, infected with Las Plagas, he can control him a little bit as well, which is kind of cool. And you've got Mendez as well, who's like the village chief. He's like the boss for the end of the village section. You fight him in like a warehouse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
yes.
he turns into this weird kind of spidery.
Gross,
he
man.
hangs down and you get the rifle and take him out.
That was gross, that bit.
There's a couple of times before that where he could kill you, but he just kind of leaves you. Do you remember? Kind of grabs Leon by the throat. Yes,
I remember that.
He just
Yeah,
drops
yeah.
you, doesn't he? Just walks
throws
away.
him down, and it's like I think you start to find in the
I think
notes-
Aydah helps out in those bits as well.
There is one of those bits where Aydah appears as well.
And some of you,
Yeah. Next on my list of characters, Aydah Wong.
Aydah.
Yeah. Everybody's favourite mysterious lady from RE2, who, up until this point, we thought was dead. Because you leave her behind at the end of Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
You assume the worst.
You assume the worst.
She seems to find a way
In the
out.
lab section at the end. Yeah.
She's got that crazy gun with the grappling
the
hook
grappling
thingy.
hook. Yeah.
Maybe that's how she got in RE2.
Maybe.
That's it. You just grappled
Like Batman.
way out of there.
That's easy for you to say.
Or not.
Yeah. She's got all kinds of cool stuff. She's got these weird
wears like a-
exploding sunglasses.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that is a crazy thing to wear on your face, right?
Risky.
Yeah, just in case
Just
you
in
accidentally...
case.
Risky.
Imagine, I just want to readjust my sunglasses. Just get a bit
Bang!
That'd be a whole different
And now I've got no
sunglasses.
head.
Yeah, it would be.
Do we like Aydah? It's kind of irritating the way.
Sounds a bit high. Yeah.
Yeah, we like Aydah.
Bit of a
But the way
love-hate
she
relationship.
kind of appears, and then she really doesn't help. Like there's one bit later on where she appears for 2 seconds, and then she goes, "Oh, we should split up." It's like,
Well,
what?
Keith,
You haven't been
played
around the whole game.
separate ways. You
You
don't.
can tell me about that in a minute because I don't think I have played it at all.
Yeah.
Because there's two extra bits of content with Aydah in. There's one called Assignment Aydah, which is one where you just have to go and retrieve a sample.
Right.
But separate ways is like it's like it's a few hours long, isn't it?
Yeah, I haven't completed it yet,
Yeah.
but I've played the first 3 chapters, and that's taken me about an hour and a half. And there's this weird Matrix-looking guy with dark sunglasses. I don't know his name.
It's Wesker.
Oh, right.
That's Wesker.
And where he's like,
Yeah.
you got to try and
Robot
kill.
Wesker.
He actually
It's
wants
just Wesker,
you
Wesker.
as Aydah to
Wesker.
kill Leon at one point.
Ah,
So maybe that's why she's a bit reluctant, really.
she's working for him. I don't know if it's
Wesker.
under duress.
Wesker,
Albert
yeah.
Wesker, yeah. So
The
he,
Wesker.
he was the villain in the original Resident Evil,
Oh, right, yeah, he's a bit of a bad
and
boy.
he reappears in.
It
the
is cool
series
though
later on.
because you're retracing steps from the game. I've done this bit before. It's good. It's fun. Like I said, you can't upgrade.
So,
weapons.
so separate ways, basically. So I'll mention it again later on, but I think basically it was DLC for the PlayStation 2, not DLC, but extra content for the PlayStation.
Right.
I've got so used to that phrase now. For the PlayStation 2 version, and it basically fills in what she's doing while Leon's doing what he's doing, which I
Yeah.
quite like.
It's fun.
Kind
It's
of
a
feels
fun
that
game.
side of it.
And it was my chance because I completed Resident Evil 4
Yeah,
a few months ago, so it was another chance to replay it just for this podcast, but on a slightly different angle.
yeah, that's cool.
And you can grapple hook to certain bits.
Oh, can you?
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay. Well, I know what I'm doing when I get home.
It's quite funny that you mentioned. It's quite funny you mentioned the whole splitting up thing because I think I seem to remember there was a running joke, but certainly on the first game, possibly on the second one as well.
Yeah.
Where you find someone, the first thing they say, "Let's split up."
Yeah.
It's like, well, hang on a minute. Surely it's
Yeah.
better than one.
Exactly, yeah. It was that classic horror movie thing,
Budget
isn't
doesn't
it?
stretch to that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's split up. Why would you do that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Krauser. I always found Krauser to be kind of a strange character because it's like you get this implication of Leon's previous military
Army
history.
dude. So before he was
When did he do that? Yeah, it's just like they're old army buddies or something. I mean, he's okay. He's
pretty tough.
he is quite
was a
tough.
tough
So
boss, actually.
you have the quick time knife fight,
Oh, I didn't like
which
that.
caught me out the first time because you think you're still watching the cutscene, and then suddenly the prompts flash
Oh,
up,
you
and
died.
you're dead. So that is quite tough. And then you have the big battle with him at that fort at the end. That is quite difficult. So you've got so it's not just the boss fight, there's the bit leading up to it where he keeps appearing,
Yes.
attacking you, and then he throws a flash grenade and disappears again.
I had to use my knife with him at the end.
Did you?
And I was like, I'm not going to do it. I did it.
And like totally randomly, there's like he uses these little drone things as well.
Yes.
Which is like they're not in the whole of the rest of the game. Suddenly you've got these little drones
Makes a debut, right?
shooting at you, and it's just crazy.
I think that was
crazy.
the toughest boss in the game for me personally.
Krauser. Yeah. Mike. Do we remember Mike? You should never forget Mike. Rest in peace.
I don't know.
Remember him, Mike.
Do you remember the military complex towards the end?
I do. Who's Mike?
The drinks are on me. Mike's the chopper pilot. You know that section where he comes in and he starts helping you out and he's like blowing up the towers that they're all in. And then you get through the end of that section and he thinks he's like, oh yeah, the drinks are on me. And he's like, I know a place. And it's all, yeah. And then there's a Ganado up on the hill somewhere with a rocket launcher. And he takes him out.
That bit is cool.
And he's like, Mike, no.
Gone but never forgotten.
Exactly. I had to mention him because, you shouldn't be forgotten.
I hate that bit now.
Poor Mike.
Poor Mike. Loads of different enemies. We've mentioned the Ganados. The giant salamander thing is called Del Lago. So you get dragged out. You have to cross the lake on a little power boat.
That bit really,
We have to chuck harpoons at him.
it makes my pants brown. I just like you're harpooning this guy, and it's like, and the music when it ramps up, like when he's like dragging you around, and he's maybe gone away. No, what?
And then he hits the boat because you have to throw the harpoons, and you have to steer the boat as well, and then so he can knock you off the boat, and then you have to have a quick time tap trying to get back in the boat.
Mate,
and
seriously, heart rate through the roof, mate.
That is
I love that bit.
awesome. As we've mentioned, El Gigante, they're like giant trolls, aren't they?
Yeah. And I love how you can just jump on their backs. Cool.
Yeah, so you encounter them, I think, 3 times. So there's the one section with the dog, where it's just one of them. Then there's another bit where you're going through with Ashley, and you have to get through a couple of locked doors.
So make the lock
And you have to get past them. It's like an enclosed.
I remember.
Yeah. And then later on in one of the cave sections, where there's like a floor of lava, and you have to knock open the grates so they fall in.
Well.
And it's got zip lines in that room as
Yes,
well.
that was hard.
It's just so many crazy rooms. And I've just remembered one I've forgotten to put on here. In the cave section, there's that whole area which is like shipping crates suspended from the ceiling by chains. Mm-hmm. And you have to get from one end to the other. And there's that monster. That monster. There's a time limit. You have to find the buttons to open the gates. And just so many crazy moments. I quite like most of the enemies. The ones I hated because they were just really annoying were the Novistadors.
What are they?
These are the flying ones that can go invisible.
Oh, those weird sort of gargoyle.
They're insecty ones.
Oh, I don't like
so you
those.
see them in the sewers and then again later in the caves.
Starship Troopers thingies.
Like big bugs. Because you can't see.
And actually, a shotgun shot wouldn't always kill them. Not always.
No, they were resilient. Oh. Yeah, and they move around really quickly. They're the hardest because of the way the controls work. They're the hardest enemy to deal with.
If you got a wee zapper,
I don't like them.
Leave it to me, mate.
They're the only bit that I didn't like. The monks as well in the castle setting. They were so good. So you've gone. So you've gone from. So you've gone from the Ganados, who are quite creepy, and they shout at you, and then you go, and then you've got all the monks, and they do the more.
There's one like a metal skull.
It's getting louder and louder around you. Where are they coming
exactly.
from?
They're so cool. Yeah, you've got the ones in the red rose with like the goat skull heads.
So cool.
Again, another random room I've remembered. The one that looks like like a little courtroom with the machine gun turret in.
Yeah, you go get the.
Just so much. So I love the monks. And that was the thing as I was saying about you can always hear them coming. So the Ganados had the shouting, the monks do the chanting. The Regenerators, who were probably the scariest enemy in the game, in the lab section. The ones with the regenerating limbs.
Oh, I didn't like
who
them.
make that horrible...
And you had to... See, I was like, I can't kill these guys, but you had to use the rifle. It's the rifle.
You have to use the rifle and you have to find the infrared scope.
And do you know what?
So
yes, and do you know what, Keith?
Yeah.
So you find
Up till then you're going to
it.
think I'm stupid. I never really used the rifle that much.
Well, a lot of the times you don't get a chance.
No.
Because it's rare that you get a section where you can just sort of stand off at a distance.
But yeah, you need the scope. Because it shows the bits to shoot.
Well, that's what makes that scary as well, because the rifle's slower to use and slower to reload and everything if you miss the shot. So the scope shows you where the parasites are on the body, and you have to hit them.
That's why it's a clever game, though. It always keeps you on your toes. You never get used to it.
It always changes it up. Because
So
I remember the first time I played it, I was like, oh, here's the lab section. And then you do it, and so you go into, when you first meet them, that you see something lying on a slab in one room, but you have to go into the opposite room to get something. And then when you've got what you needed and open the door, he's come through the door and he's coming at you.
So
It's
good.
like,
And it doesn't
good.
matter if you shoot with the head and stuff. It's not,
No, you can blow the legs off, but they grow back and get up. Hence the name.
That bit is crazy.
Yeah. So,
Adrian just needs his knife and a Wii remote, and he's good to go.
yeah, he's good. Stab, stab, stab.
Who needs a
But they're great enemies, and they are scary as well. And that night, they just make a horrible sound. And you can hear them around the corner, like,
have a cough, sweetheart. Get on your way.
so good. Talking of the rifle, the gun sounds in this game.
Yes.
They're so satisfying.
Yeah.
Like
Shotgun.
the shotgun, the rifle, and the reloading animations as well. Again, for 2005, it was
perfect.
just work of art, Dill. Work of art.
Masterpiece.
The atmosphere of the game as a whole, it's less of a creepy game. The original, obviously, in the mansion is very scary, in the police station in the second game. But I just find the balance between the action stuff and the creepy stuff. So, because obviously there is a lot of time when you're alone as well, when you are exploring, as well as all the
That's
sort of
kind of
set
fun,
pieces. Yeah, but I just love the setting, and it's just got a perfect atmosphere, and the soundtrack's really good. It's got a lot of variety to it. Obviously, there's just typical kind of orchestral stuff, which is moody strings and things. But the first bit where you're riding in the car to the village with the cops, they've obviously got the radio on, and it's got some Spanish guitar song going on. You've got the monks chanting, and then even on the island later, where you've got the military section, it's got some 70s kind of prog rock stuff going on. It's it changes, and none of it gets stale. It's a long game. I think the first time I played it took me about 17 hours. So again, for 2005, that's quite a long game.
Yeah,
but there's so much in it. But it never gets boring.
And I've given up on every single Resident Evil game before this, but this is the first time I finished to the end, and I loved it.
There you go.
Bravo.
There you go. So that's the game itself and the characters and the settings and stuff. So they did add content for the PS2 version, as we've touched on, and the largest edition of which was Separate Ways. And this focused on Aydah Wong's involvement in RE4 and her connection to the series villain Albert Wesker. There's also some extra stuff called Aydah's Report, which is a 5-part documentary analysing Aydah's relationship with Wesker and his role in the plot. Other unlockable content in all versions included the Mercenaries minigame, which has gone on to be... I think we talked about it a little bit before. It's got... Are you a fan?
Yeah.
Ah, that's good, because we've never really played much of it.
Oh.
No, that's good. That's good.
Should get some points. Oh, great bike.
It's I don't know, it's a bit weird because it's sort of when you played it, you were like what am I kind of playing? Because they've not really done anything like that before.
No.
And it was obviously playing different people, different roles, different kind of little stories and picking up different things, going different locations. But it was all quite sort of snappy.
It's all about your high score and
exactly, yeah. And it was all about timing high score.
Yeah.
And it was, I don't know, it felt really fresh because there was nothing like that before it. And it was just really good to kind of look at, even though you didn't get a lot of story on the characters that you were playing as, you got kind of little attributes and things like that that sort of helped them, and each one was different. And it was good because it was almost like a mini RPG come sort of action. Game. It was actually really good, really really addictive. Every time you just wanted to beat what you'd done, go a different route or whatever. So it was like a condensed version, but it was very snappy. It was very and that was really good because it kept you kind of wanting more. So great little mini game that was.
You get to play as different characters as well. You start off with just Leon, but you can unlock Krauser, Aydah, Wesker, which is quite cool. So you can play as Wesker, and also Hunk.
No.
Yeah, Hunk's in it as well. He's like an Umbrella Corporation military dude. He's part of the RE2 story, isn't he?
Yeah, so you complete RE2 a certain way.
Yes.
And then you get his little side story.
Yeah, he's part of the team that were trying to obtain the G-Virus from...
And then I never completed that, although I got a little hack on the memory card that let me do the tofu one as well. but then
Yes, tofu. We did talk
Charlatan.
about that.
Hacks.
What else was there? There was also new costumes for Leon and Ashley once you've completed it that you can unlock.
Did you say about how Leon loses his jacket in the game?
Oh, so he's got his jacket.
Yeah.
It's iconic kind of fleecy leather jacket.
Kinda
thing.
cool.
And
Pilot's jacket.
So he gets it taken. It looks really cool, and it looks quite chilly. It looks like Spain in the autumn, and then he loses it when he gets tied up with Luis.
Yeah,
and
and
he's just in his
then he
shirt
never
and
gets
he's
it
like-
back.
No, but no, and then I've done separate ways.
Oh yes,
And
sorry,
then-
go on.
then
What did you
it was
discover?
really weird. I was walking back through the village as Aydah, and I was trying to shoot a zombie, but it wasn't like registering. I was like, what's going on? Then it said, then she was like, that jacket looks familiar. Then eventually you can kill the zombie, and
He's
that
wearing
looks like
Leon's jacket.
But you
That's
can't
so-
take it.
See, I've got to play that. I've got to
It
play
is
that
cool.
now. So the new costumes that you've got for Leon and Ashley, the first set are Leon's RPD uniform from Resident Evil 2,
Nice.
which is cool.
Yes.
And Ashley gets what Capcom call a pop star outfit, which is the very low cut spandex top thing.
Oh, that kind
And
of pop
like
star.
white skin tight lycra trousers.
Louis suggested it, didn't he?
Yeah, probably.
He made it.
The other two that you can get, which I haven't managed to unlock. I'm not sure how you do it. For Leon, it's like a 1930s New York gangster outfit, complete with the hat, the white silk scarf, and you can also get like a Tommy gun. Is it the Chicago typewriter? It's called, which is kind of as powerful as the rocket launcher, but without the slow reload, and it just takes out everything. So you can just. So one of the things I've done upon completing it is sold all my crap and bought the unlimited rocket launcher,
How much?
and
does that
then
cost?
play. I think that's like 100,000 pesetas. But then you can play through the game. It doesn't make it super easy because there are bits where the fact that it takes so long to reload makes it a bit of a pain.
Get jumped on while you reload.
Yeah, but it makes the bosses and stuff really easy. But yeah, and Ashley gets a suit of armor, which is quite cool because she can't be harmed by anything, basically. And you know the bit where they try and pick her up and carry her off? I've seen footage of this because I haven't unlocked it. They try and pick her up, but she's too heavy, so they fall over her as they're trying to carry her. Yeah,
That is so cool.
it's a
so
little, nice
well
little
thought out,
touch, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's weird though because you can't sort of combine the costumes. So if you're Leon in his police uniform, Ashley wears the pop star outfit. If you're the gangster Leon, she wears the suit of armor, which is a bit weird.
Can't mix that up.
But yeah, I really want to unlock that one. So Resident Evil 4, we talked a bit about the reception, Game of the Year awards, etc. The GameCube and PS2 versions have a score of 96 out of 100 on Metacritic, indicating universal acclaim.
Just about. Yeah.
In addition to the gameplay, the characters and story generally received positive commentary, leading to the finished product being deemed by most as one of the best video games ever. I would agree. Dill agrees. Is it? Would you go that far? I know you really enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I thought it was amazing, man. And it, like you said, I never was bored. It kept me
No.
going. And I'd given up on Resident Evil games before. I didn't get involved with the characters. Something about it I just loved.
It's just sometimes it's that intangible thing, but yeah, it's rare to find a game where you just like, I just want to keep playing it. And I haven't played that many, like you talked about playing Resident Evil 3 43 times. I haven't completing it, sorry, 43 times, not playing it. I can't think of many games I've replayed as often as this, especially a game this long. But it's just like,
That's commitment right there.
Well, it's just like, what do I want to play? What do I want to play? Yeah, I'll play it. Because it's just always fun.
It is kind of
It's
pick up and play in
always
a weird
fun.
way, though. It just shoots some bad guys.
Yeah.
There's not many.
Which kind of
puzzles.
undersells it a bit, but it's
Yeah.
just, I love it. GameSpot's Greg Kasavin praised the voice acting, but claimed that it was betrayed by some uncharacteristically goofy dialogue.
Oh,
that made it fun.
You have a bit of goofiness in the Resident
Bit of Hollywood.
IGN's Matt Casamasina went into further detail in his review for RE4, praising not only the detailed character design, but also the fight choreography and the three-dimensional models within the cinematic sequences. He also complimented the voice actors, especially Paul Mercier, who played Leon, commenting, "For once, the characters are believable because Capcom has hired competent actors to supply their voices." Nintendo Power recognized Resident Evil 4's character design and voice acting and said the increased variety of weapons made for a much more exciting game. I suppose, in previous RE games, you got a shotgun,
Pistol, shotgun, grenade launcher,
rocket launcher for one use at the end.
You had
there's a machine gun in 3, isn't there?
There is AR, like a assault rifle, and then I think in one of the others you had to build your own shotgun. I think there was parts of like a Terminator 2 style shotgun.
Yes.
Flip reload shotgun. You actually put your arm out to shoot over.
Oh, that's right. Like a sawn off shotgun.
I think it may have even been the first game. I'm not sure, but I think you found parts of it, but it was really hard to find.
Yeah.
And when you got it, you could just literally scythe through everything.
Nice.
Yeah.
The ratings of the later PC port were not as high as for the other versions. It was heavily criticised for no mouse support.
Huh? That's just weird. Why would you not have a mouse support?
And frustrating keyboard controls. Low quality FMV cutscenes, choppy graphics rendering. It didn't have any shadows or proper lighting.
PC game.
Yeah, and required a gamepad controller for more precise aiming and gameplay.
PC Master what?
Japanese game magazine Famitsu reviewed the Wii version, giving it a perfect 10.
How you doing?
The reviewers felt the new controls offered something fresh. Multiple reviewers agreed that even those who own the original will find something fun and enjoyable in this version. So I need to play it.
Dylan's played both, and which one did you prefer?
I like the Wii one, but my arms got tired. So I go back to the PS2 one.
So I think you could enjoy both. But again, that's kind of high praise for the game, like the core of the game itself and how good it is. British magazine that I've never heard of, Endgamer. Do you know that one? Is that a Nintendo one?
Back in the day.
Gave the Wii edition a score of 96%. Slightly lower than the 97% they gave the GameCube version.
Damn them.
1% less. They praised the visuals, controls and features and commented on the fact that such an exceptional package was on sale for a low price. However, when writing about the Wii controls, they said if you played the GameCube version, this won't be as special. It will be precisely 1% less special, apparently. Oh, dear.
Not enough percent.
Official Nintendo magazine gave the Wii version 94%, 3% less than the original, due to it not having the same impact it did when it first came out. The PS3 version, which was released as a HD remaster rather than a remake, received a score of 9.0 from Destructoid, calling it a hallmark of excellence. In October 2013, Edge magazine retroactively awarded it 10 out of 10, one of 23 games to achieve a perfect score in the magazine's 20-year history. It was named Game of the Year at the 2005 Spike Video Games Award and by Nintendo Power and Game Informer. It tied with Kingdom Hearts 2 as Famitsu's Game of the Year. Anyone played that? Any Kingdom Hearts fans?
No, but I know that people love it.
People do like it.
They say they're good, so.
IGN gave the game the Best Artistic Design Award. And the International Game Developers Association nominated it for their Best Visual Arts Award, but lost to, can you guess? I know Adrian loves this game. It is a PlayStation game.
We love Katamari.
No, it's known for its look, and it's kind of a sister game to another game that I know you like and played.
Confusing.
I know, I haven't given you very good clues. It's Shadow of the Colossus. There you go.
Oh, there you go.
But that won the Best Visual Arts Award for 2005.
Stunning game to look at.
Nintendo Power ranked it as number 1 in their list of the top 25 best GameCube games of all time.
Yeah.
In 2008, it was ranked first place in the list of the best games of all time, according to the readers of IGN. Number 3 on the list of all-time PlayStation games as well. So,
madness.
Basically, everyone loves it.
Think about all of the games that was, and what year was that?
So it came out in 2005. Oh, that list. So in 2008, they did a best games of all time, and it came out at number 1.
2008. You think about all the games before that, and it topped the lot.
Number 1.
It's so good.
There's some heavyweights in there, boy. I tell you, and it's topped that list.
It's so good.
In 2010, the readers of PlayStation Official Magazine voted it the 10th greatest PlayStation game. So apparently, there's 9 better PlayStation games. And in 2007, Edge ranked it at second place in its list of the top games of all time, behind only
Ocarina of Time.
Correct. There you go. It's a modern horror masterpiece.
Says he proudly.
As we've touched on, there was lots of ports. It's ported to the PS2 after Capcom stated that it did not fall under their exclusivity deal, which is convenient for them. It was later included with Code Veronica X and Resident Evil Outbreak as part of a compilation for the PS2 called Resident Evil The Essentials.
I want
Now,
that.
Wow.
I wondered, I've not got that here, but I wonder if it was a Japan only.
Must have been in Japan.
Yeah, sounds pretty
We
cool.
would have heard about that.
The PlayStation 2 version featured 2 standard and collector's bundles. The standard package included the game and a t-shirt, while the collector's bundle also included a figurine of Leon and the soundtrack Biohazard Sound Chronicle Best Track Box. Never heard of that.
No, I
For
need to get
PS2,
all
I've-
these
You
things.
have now.
This
eBay,
quickly
here we
sold.
come.
This quickly sold out, and a second pressing was released that included an Aydah figurine. Another called the Resident.
No, actually. How about the merchant figurine? That's what
I want the merchant figurine.
Those are now worth 1.4 million.
Yes.
PC port was released in 2007, which obviously wasn't as well received.
No mouse support. What are they?
Wii Edition came in 2007 as well. And it's been released since on pretty much everything. It was Resident Evil 4 Mobile Edition was in
Mobile.
2008, and obviously in 2016 there were PS4 and Xbox HD remasters. Everything's been made to look a little bit prettier, but it already looked amazing.
Just get it again.
Just buy it again. Why not?
Yeah. Again.
And there's been some updated PC ports as well. In 2018, is it here already? Is it on Switch already? Because I've got here that it was announced in 2018 that it was going to be published for the Nintendo Switch sometime in 2019.
I haven't seen it on the Switch.
Is it on, in fact, I've got to check my facts. I've got that it was announced for the Switch, but I'm not sure if it's actually been
There's one
released
to
for the
take away.
Switch.
There's
There you
a
go.
one to take away.
That's
I just played the
interesting.
Wii version. That's
Pop a pin in
Yeah.
that one.
And I'm sure I've mentioned this to you guys, like off podcast, but in April 2021, Capcom announced a new version of Resident Evil 4 that incorporates a first-person perspective along with a virtual reality headset compatibility.
Uh-oh.
Oh. So, but unfortunately, it's only going to be on Oculus Quest 2.
Oh man,
Yes.
better save up for an Oculus
So-
Quest 2 as well.
Yeah, I've seen some footage.
Oh.
It looks fun.
Does
Yeah.
it?
Imagine playing RE4 in virtual reality.
That's going to be real
Amazing.
scary. Great.
I really want to play that. It says many gameplay elements will be changed to accommodate VR support, but will also include redesigned textures with increased resolution. It's going to keep all the original cutscenes and stuff as well.
Nice.
And it's going to run on Unreal Engine 4. So that's something to be excited about. We won't go too much into like sales figures and stuff. We touched on it at the beginning. Massive.
Done very well.
Yeah. Still one of Capcom's top selling games of all time. In terms of the game's legacy, again, we've touched on it on the way through. It's still regarded as one of the most influential games ever. It basically sort of redefined third-person shooters. And it's kind of, because that viewpoint's become standard in a lot of games, including games such as Gears of War. So I've got that written down. Gears of War. And even if you think of the Arkham games, the viewpoint behind Batman, it was influenced. And also the aiming as well, the precision aiming, which you didn't have before. If you think of later games like Dead Space, the GTA games, Fallout, Uncharted even, Last of Us, it all ties back to RE4. In 2019, Game Informer called RE4 the most important third-person shooter ever. And that it innovated two genres, inspiring developers of both survival horror and shooter games. So, it's a hugely influential game. It's a hugely popular game. We've all played it and enjoyed it. Where does it sit in your own personal rankings of Resident Evil games?
That's a good question. Nothing will displace Resident Evil 2 for me.
The original 2 for you is your
And then it's
favourite,
4.
isn't it?
Yeah, and then the rest of it.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
it's my favourite by a country
It's your
mile.
favourite by a long shot, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's probably like
by a long shot with the scope add-on.
The scope that you don't
the info-
use.
yeah.
Just the knife.
I mean, you haven't played it all the way through, so you'd have to kind of reserve judgment, won't you?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I perhaps agree with Dylan though. Number 2 has a special place in that ivory tower, just because it's, I don't know what it is. It's just so iconic and just.
You have to listen to our Resident Evil 2 podcast that we did years ago.
Way back in Adrian's echoey front room, around one microphone, yeah.
But yeah, scary, weird, kind of just foreboding, difficult. I don't know. It was everything, wasn't it? But I mean, having remembered what I'd played before, there was never any kind of, I didn't like that. I don't have any bad memories of it.
Yeah.
And having kind of recently,
You're never bored. And like I said
No.
this about Resident Evil 3 Remake. some
You got
bits of
bored.
it I was bored.
Mm.
It's a short game and I was bored in it.
Yeah.
But Resi 4.
Yeah, I come to a point that I was thinking all the way through that with all of the sort of info that you were giving us and all of the bits around the characters and the gameplay, and I've kind of relived it through videos I've done, and just kind of like refreshed my memory of it. And you know, the one thing they get right, and this is so difficult for so many games, new, old, is balance.
Yeah.
Is balance, because you'll get games that look amazing. Play is terrible. You'll get games that play brilliantly. You can jump in, you can have a go, the controls are great, it looks terrible. Yeah. You can have games that look great, play great, soundtrack is dreadful. Yeah. Whatever. You can have so many different sort of mock-ups. Yeah. I think what we agree on that is because it got so many things so right.
Yeah.
In the same
It took them
game.
4 attempts, mind, to get there.
It did.
Well, we can argue that to the cows come home. Let's be honest. We're all like 1 and 3, but yeah.
No, we're talking about
the development of the game.
Oh, I see. Sorry,
Yeah.
right, but yeah. So the iteration, yeah. Again, so
I mean, they were
they've
proven.
been-
They're clearly proven right. You know, it was worth
I mean, that's still
all the
staggers
pain
me.
that they went through developing it.
Yeah, that still staggers me again. That, you know, all those hours spent and they just pin it. But it is the balance, and they've got the soundtrack, they've got the action,
Yeah,
and
it's
the
all
fact
there.
they went to a different system and got it so right. You know, amazing. So plaudits all round. But that's what, you know, balance. How many other games can you say have a perfect balance? You know, visuals, gameplay, and soundtrack.
Yeah,
it's rare.
It is pretty rare, actually.
It's
If you
rare.
think about the whole, like, the amount of games that you play, it's a very small percentage.
And it's like Dill says as well. Like, it's never boring. And what's the worst criticism you could level at a game? You could say, "Oh, the graphics are ugly," or I don't like the music. But the worst thing you could say about any game is that it's boring.
Yeah.
And so the fact that you are never ever bored playing this game. For me personally, it's definitely top 3. My favourite Resident Evil game is the remake of 1 for the GameCube, which is astounding. I want to talk about that on another podcast. And then it'll be the original Resident Evil 2, and then probably RE4. I think it's probably my top 3.
Okay.
I'll lend you the Wii edition.
And I want to play the Wii edition.
Yeah, I will lend it you.
Yes.
Get that workout
I need to. So before we go, I want to ask you guys, our listeners can chime in if they want, but which game should we cover next in the RE series? So I know we've done...
Yeah, we done things
we did
chronologically.
2 like 5 years ago, and we did 3 last year, and we've done 4 now. What next? Where
Please
do
not
we
Resident
go?
Evil 6. Just not.
No, we won't do 6.
Does it
We
make,
won't
what
do
is
6.
5 then? Is 5 similar to 4? Would I like 5?
The
5 in
gameplay
the
is
desert.
similar. It's 5 in the desert is one way of putting it.
Kijuju.
It's not. The thing
I
is,
think is where it's
I
at.
feel like it would be. I think the reason 5 gets a lot of hate is because it was like it just couldn't quite reach the heights of 4. It's a good game though.
It is
Is that on the Wii?
It is.
I don't know if
It's
there's.
not on the Wii.
No.
It's-
Well, then I'm not interested.
It was so it'd be Xbox 360 and PS3. It
Definitely
was
360, yeah, because I remember having that.
Yeah, but you should definitely try and play it.
We should maybe talk
Which-
about the first Resident
The
Evil.
original. I suppose we could kind of talk about the original and the remake of the original.
Resident Evil
in
0.
one
I
podcast.
got a nice place in
We need to
the
do
heart for
0 as
Resi
well.
0.
Let's do
I
0.
definitely think I don't think the first one, just purely because every time.
Code Veronica.
Code Veronica as well.
Where's that in between the times? Is that
So
between
Code
3 and
Veronica
4?
is after. Well, in time, in terms of release, it was after 3, but before this. But I can't remember where it sits in the timeline. We'll worry about that later.
Pop a pin in that one as well, yeah.
Yeah.
One, I think there's a load of press leading up to one, or before it was kind of announced / released. There was a lot of like negative press around it, if I remember correctly, and people were like slating it as being, it's far too violent. No one will ever play it because it's too shocking and unbelievable.
The original.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing that, plastered in a lot of places, and I was, however young I was back then, I seem to still remember that's probably the worst thing you can do.
Yeah,
Say,
yeah.
It's too shocking.
It's- yeah.
No one will play
I really
it.
wanna
Because
play it
there's
now.
one thing you can guarantee:
Yeah.
everyone will play it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So maybe that'll be the next one. Then we'll do an episode just talking about the original Resident Evil
cool.
and then the GameCube remake. Sounds good.
Spot on that.
Oh.
With Adrian put out a little tweet to see what
did.
people think of it. We're pushing over 90 minutes, so Adrian's going to pick out
Wrap up.
the most punchiest, best ones from his big list of comments about
Well, the top loader then. We like the top loader.
Yeah, Todd, hello, mate. He's always
He
listening.
says-
Hello, mate.
This is the game that got me, a non-RE fan, into the series.
That
it's
sounds
a
like you.
great start. So it's a great start for people like myself and who don't really get into them because, unfortunately, this is where it ends for me as well. I prefer the action horror where many purists prefer the horror. And I thought this already got a remaster. Yeah? I'm not a huge RE fan, so I can't say for sure, lol.
Thanks, Todd.
That's a good
Actually,
one.
that's the point. We haven't mentioned that as well. It is getting a remake. So it was remastered for PS4 and Xbox One.
How does it even need a
Oh,
remake?
we
Just
had
do
that-
Dino Crisis.
It doesn't
for the
need a
love of
remake.
God.
The closest we could, there's a PC version of it that's been done by fans, basically, where they've gone in and redone. Because if you look at it now, if you play it now on the surface level and in your mind, it looks incredible. But obviously, all the textures up close
Oh,
are
yeah, the textures look
very blocky, and so they've gone through the whole game over like the last few years, redone all the textures. So now everything looks kind of how you imagine it in your mind, how it looks.
That's commitment.
And that's all you need. It doesn't need a remake.
It doesn't need a remake.
Just make it all look as nice as you can. Don't touch the gameplay. Don't touch anything else. But we'll see. I'm sure I'll play it when it comes out.
Well, I'll finish with one more then.
Yeah,
I think we are running a bit over
finish
time.
us
We've got
off.
Gazman at Gazman12683.
Oh, yeah, Gazman, hello, mate. Yeah, he's a
hated
regular-
it at release.
Oh, Gaz.
Was too different to the OG trilogy, but played it recently and loved it.
There you go.
It doesn't need a remaster. I don't think so. Its dodgy VA and its controls were what gave it personality. But they will anyway, and it will no doubt be good.
VA voice
There you
actor.
go.
I think is what he
Yes.
says, right?
Yeah.
Good old Gazman.
Good lad.
Yeah.
He's a good lad.
Well, it's a great game. Probably said that about 50 times in the
Let's keep
last
saying
hour and a half. It's a great game.
It was a
It's
great
game.
roundup.
Thank you, Jen. if you haven't played it,
What the hell's wrong with you?
yeah, play it.
Where have you been?
Don't
applaud it.
Yeah. If the idea of it being like
Bruce is back.
standard, boring old RE game puts you off like it did Aid, try the Wii version. But try the mobile version. I don't know. I don't care. However you play it.
Just
play
try a
it.
version.
Yeah, just play it. Until next time. Thanks for listening to today's podcast. We really hope you enjoyed it. You can tweet us at Arcade Attack UK. We're also on Facebook at facebook.com/Arcade Attack UK. Check out our website at arcadeattack.co.uk for lots more retro gaming goodness and to delve into our archives. Our podcasts are also available on Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, YouTube and Apple Podcasts. Please leave us a review and a rating, we'd really appreciate it. If you'd like to support Arcade Attack, please check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/arcadeattack, which will give you access to exclusive podcasts, interviews and other bonus content. So, until next time, take care and we'll speak to you soon.